What's up, summoners? King Blair here. As many of you know, RTA is a place that is considered to be very late game, and there's a lot of detail and data that goes into it, as well as a very big barrier units, and it can often be very intimidating for a lot of players. Well, what I'm here to show you today is going to be a website that can help you get a lot of those statistics and better understand what's going on in the RTA meta to better help you build some heroes and know what's going on so you can be more prepared for it. So if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Discord server. Link down in the description. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So again, the website I'm going to be showing you is Epic 7 Stats. I will link it in the descriptions because I think it's such a helpful website, and it does show you a lot of information. Some caveats before we actually get to it and the helpfulness of it, and I'm going to walk you through, guys, how it works and all that good stuff and how to kind of like manage it. But something to note is that this follows very specific players. I believe it follows around 30,000 players, or 3,000 players. So there's definitely going to be some biases in some of the win rates. So you may see some units that have really high win rates, but that may be because they are inflated by the 1 or 2 players that are actually playing those units and are actually inflating that unit stats, right? So it's very important to know that there's stuff like that going on, as well as sample size is not the biggest in the world because RTA is so big, but overall it gives you a pretty good glimpse, right? And I'll be able to tell you that a lot of players, once you play more, you'll kind of know for sure. And I've played enough this season to kind of know, and last season to know what's going on. So with that, let me show you how it works. So first, it's going to be the settings. Here, you're able, this is what you want to pick to see what time frame as well as what you want to look at, right? And this is one of the more important ones because again, for the setting, here you can choose what server you're going to look at as well as a timestamp. I will recommend you don't do a very small timestamp. Like for example, if I went all the way up to December, right? That could be very problematic because the RTA season started here, which means that not a lot of people are playing. So my sample size may be really small, and it may not be tracking the players that are going to be playing later in the season. So again, that's a very small sample size. You're not going to get a lot of good results. So we're actually going to keep it to where it is right now, which is about a month, right? It's about a month worth of data. And I don't think enough has come out to be able to change it, but it's important to know that there are units that come out in between. So you may not see those units as much or as high as they would be. Like for example, Meteor Cowrick may go lower in a little bit since he just recently got the buffs, right? It's important to know, but again, it's a matter of statistics and just sample sizes. The other thing is you can actually pick the category, which is really cool because if you're someone that's just wanting to climb to Masters, you don't particularly care what's going on in Legend and in Emperor, right? You may care more what's Challenger, Champion, the people you're actually playing against. You may actually want to see what they can do more, what they can do less. So I would recommend potentially doing that. But for me, I am going to look at just Emperor, Champion, and I'm going to take off all the other ones, even Master and Challenger, because this is what I'm most likely going to be facing, right? This is what the people I'm going to most likely be playing against. This is what I care more about. If you're someone that wants to be ahead of the curve and wants to beat Master players with things that Legend players are using, by all means, know this. But again, no gear requirements. Some units are better higher up. Like, for example, Rylet, significantly better unit higher up in the game, right? So again, really good statistics website. Again, we can apply this. We apply it. And now we're going to get, this is now tailored for just these Champion, Emperor, and Legend to the time frame that I put it on, right? So that's going to tell me the people that are contested, win, and prevent. So right here gives a quick snippet of things that you can see. So contested, this means how often are they getting picked. For those particular players, again, the sample size, it's not really clear with how much sample size it shows, but it does right here how many matches were played. So this is matches played, 316 Legend, not as many in Emperor, and then very few Champion. So it's important to know, okay, this is the number of matches that they appeared in. It's not a bad sample size, but again, it's very, very heavily based on the players that are actually playing them, right? Because it's looking at the particular players and who their opponents are. So again, could be some things, that play styles that could affect it a little bit. But from looking at this, it looks pretty accurate, right? If you ask me, this looks really accurate to what today's day and meta looks like, right? Fallen Cecilia, highly contested unit. I see this unit almost every single game. Same thing with Ravi. I see this unit almost every single game. Same thing with Rimuru, right? I can see it's highly contested, and this can better help me understand first picks, right? Because if I see this, I know right away, oh man, people are going to be picking this early. I also rely on it. I need to take that unit away as soon as possible, right? And you see all these heroes with very high contested rates. After Belian, you see the massive drop-off, because these, you kind of can tell it's the meta. Usually these are the units that I would suggest you pick early because they're highly contested, right? And anytime we make a tier list, then you can start to see Spectre Tenebria. They're good units. Mediator Cowrick, you know, they're contested. People are using them. They're doing their job quite well. Then you can also see at the win rate, who's winning a lot. As you see here, there is a lot of cleavers. Why? A lot of Legend and Emperor players are going to be cleavers, right? That's why they're so high up. which is why they have such inflated win rates. Usually Operator Cigarette, if she goes through, she's going to be winning. Closer Charles, as I told before, legend players tend to win a lot with this unit. And of course, you see people were struggling a lot against Carrot, Briar Witch, and Operator Cigarette, mainly because people don't know actually how to work with them. Again, for something like this, it is important to know the win rate very based on the person that's actually piloting the unit, right? But again, it makes sense. I definitely feel like Maid Chloe gives you a pretty good advantage. Same thing with Fallen Cecilia. Rem, probably recently, probably a lot less, but when you pick her, she usually wins the games for you. And we see the units, even all the way down to Meteor Cowrick. These are units that are giving you a better chance to actually win, right? So if you pilot them properly, you're going to be winning more, right? So that's really, really solid. And it also makes a lot of sense why this would be here, because cleave units, if it's a very avid cleaver, they're not going to be losing very often, right? When Operator Cigarette is picked, it's usually because she's getting picked in a very good situation. When Closer Charles is getting picked, it's usually because it's in a really good situation, right? So there's a lot of really cool stuff here. You can see the pre-bans, you can see what's popular. Again, she gets pretty much pre-banned almost every game. But again, cleavers will ban this. They will ban Rimuru a lot less. But you can see the common pre-bans, right? So this is just a myriad of information so you can see what people are doing, right? Which is really, really amazing. It's such a great resource. And of course, units that actually got post-ban. These are things like Operator Cigarette. You can see that a lot of times it's units that force a post-ban. Both these units, when they're picked, they're usually going to win you the game. Same thing with these two units. And again, Strasse, it's a lot less. But these are units that in their rights, when they're picked, you're getting a really good advantage and most likely forcing the opponent to ban. So it's really cool to see all this stuff and all this information. Again, because for the banned one, you can see what people are more likely to ban if you pick it. And then, of course, there's first pick. Again, very similar to contested. If you see, they're almost identical. With Fallen Cecilia being slightly lower. Why is that? Because, again, these units are the meta. These units are the ones that are going to be highly contested here on top, right? These are the units that everyone's going to try to pick first. And, of course, last pick, these are units that are most likely going to force a ban, right? So if you see bans, you also see a lot of similarities, right? Why? Again, because last pick units are often the units that are forced ban for the opponent. But that's just going to be the initial part. So now you can honestly even search specific heroes. So for example, if I wanted to see, does Rylet really suck, right? A lot of people tell me Rylet sucks, right? If I look through it, okay, not 49 matches, not a lot. Not the greatest win rate, right? And you can also see even builds, right? So that's the other part that's really cool about this is you can even see the stat line of the builds that people are using on their Rylets. You can see what people are using, what sets they're using, and this even gives you an idea on how to build your heroes. So this is another part that is amazing of this website is the builds that you see here are for top level players, right? These are for players that are just going to be just insanely good, but it also gives you a really good idea of what stat line to look for and try to match, right? So again, all the players here are going to be for just insanely good characters, and you can even click on it to see proof of how broken some of these heroes are. As you see here, we see this Remnant Violet, and we're like, okay, that looks pretty good, right? My Remnant Violet's a little better than that, but you know, no one's counted. I just really like Remnant Violet. But yeah, so overall, you can see all the stuff that they're doing, right? Like for this one, they're doing a lifesteal one. You can see what builds are popular, what people are using, and it's just really, really nice to see what artifacts are better for him and what sets work for him as well, right? So again, really, really cool website. I could spend hours here. I probably will make more videos about this when I look at specific units because it's just ridiculously good website. And even things like Maid Chloe, you can literally see all the builds here, right? All the different Maid Chloe builds. You can see her win rate. You can also see who she pairs up good and who she pairs up bad against. Although again, as I mentioned, it's not that many matches, so it could be slightly inflated. But again, we see she has pretty solid win rate, right? So really cool website. So overall, that's all I wanted to show you guys. This website is freaking amazing. You can spend hours on here. I can make millions of videos off of this website, honestly. I honestly will, actually. Now that I think about it, this website's just great. I really need to start promoting this more. I didn't make it. I don't know who made it. No one told me to make this video. I just really thought it was just insanely good, and it's insanely insightful. It's all pretty much right. Like if I look at this, I could tell you that it's pretty accurate to what I actually would expect to run into, right? So that will hopefully give you a good idea, a good snippet, let you see what you can see actual specific heroes. And of course, again, it follows very specific players, so you're not gonna see all the heroes. Take that with a grain of salt, because again, there are things that are going to be missing, but for what we have, it's amazing. If Smage ever came up with an official one, it'd be way better. But of course, this is already just incredibly, incredibly amazing. But that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Peace.